Last month I spoke about the Dugan brothers and the claim that they were the first to build and fly Australia's first aircraft, and that's undisputed. You remember there'd been a transition from kites, balloons and gliders into the powered aircraft able to sustain controlled flight. It had been 54 years earlier, on the 15th of December in 1856, when Pierre Maigret was the first in Australia to attempt to fly a balloon. And 14 months later, on the 1st of February 1858, William Dean successfully ascended in a balloon called Australasian in Melbourne. Perhaps he was trying to fly back to Blighty. Now, there were many other balloon flights after that, but it was 37 years later when Lawrence Hargrave linked 4 kites together, added a sling seat, and was lifted aloft. That was the 12th of November 1894, so we're moving along a bit. He was a pretty brave man, but we have done a talk about him, and you can do research and find that. He proved that the theoretical wing model worked, that you could get lift from that. A pupil of Lawrence was George Taylor. 15 years later, George made the first heavier-than-air flight in a glider on the 5th of December 1909. He said, "A successful flyer must feel the air." And those pilots amongst us would know what that feels like. The same today. His wife took to soaring and reported that of all her problems, tucking in her skirts was the most difficult. Not being sexist, ladies, but in those days they wore voluminous skirts, and sitting out there sitting out there on the glider. But so much for kites, balloons and gliders. Now, Colin Defries should be recognised as having flown the first flight by heavier-than-air powered aircraft in Australia, being 4 days after George Taylor's glider flight. Colin's flight was on the 9th of December 1909, flying a Wright Model A, the Stella at Victoria Park Raceway in Sydney. But he crashed, so he can't claim the title of controlled powered flight. That went to Harry Houdini 3 months later on the 18th of March 1910. Colin claimed he flew 91 metres at 5 metres height at a speed of 58 kilometres per hour. Now, that aircraft was dumped at sea by its owner, Lawrence Adamson, in order to avoid paying custom duties. And the engine was later salvaged and is housed at Museum Victoria. Some people are short-sighted, aren't they? Frederick Custance allegedly flew a Blériot for over 5 minutes on the 17th of March 1910 at Bolivar near Adelaide. So that was considerably earlier. Witnesses were F.H. Jones, who owned the property, as well as the aircraft, him and neighbours. In 1943, it was Jones who claimed he was the pilot, and as Custance died in 1923, he wasn't around to refute it. But recognition should go to the Dugan brothers, who flew the first Australian design and built aircraft on the 7th of October. Isn't that interesting?